confused.
Yeah, no, this dog in my head is on leash over there.
Right.
So she doesn't do the first couple of corrections with the leash. I'm going to maybe get in between me and her and the other dog.
Yes.
And start to get a little bit physical, but I need not to get too physical.
Correct.
Then
match her intensity. So I think this is a prime example of when you do it, you need to have somebody watching, or you need to take a video of yourself, because there's a fine line between if you overcorrect her and if you don't correct her when she makes a mistake.
Yeah.
So she's got to do the right thing, but if you correct her at the wrong moment, then you're going to confuse her.
Yeah.
You follow?
Yeah.
So just keep even you saw I made a mistake. I'll be the first to admit I'm not perfect. She reacted with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's because what I've been saying. Her subtleties are very, very small. It's not like hers or the cases we had the first session.
Mm-hmm.
This is different. Her subtlety is this compared to this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, even I miss it sometimes, right? So you've just got to make sure that you see that. So the best things you can do is set her up to succeed. Watch, the things that you can control. You can control your pace. You can control the length of the leash. You can control your body position. All of those things you can control. If she reacts, just make sure that you have her in a scenario where nothing bad's going to happen, right? If the other dog's on the leash, I wouldn't go right up to them the first time. Let her stay 5 feet away, because chances are she's going to make a mistake at 5 feet away and not 2 feet away, right? You see? And if you miss it, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you saw I missed it. So even I'm gonna miss stuff. The main thing I'm watching for is I want her always to go back to being calm. Okay. Any other questions? Do you have a better idea of what you need to do with her?
Yes, but even let's say I've done a fairly good job of getting her to relax, but she still is not looking at me. She's still just disdainfully not looking at me.
You've got and initially you've got to force it.
Okay.
What you're saying to her is, I'm going to force you to trust me, right? And then to show you nothing bad's going to happen. But if I don't force it, the same way that I forced her to stay in the middle of the room while all the chaos was going around, if I didn't force her to do it, then she could never build up that trust for me.
Right.
You follow? So that's the same thing you've got to do with her. Now, obviously, you could see worn out. So so you don't have to physically control her. You just have to make sure that that you put her in the situations that make her uncomfortable.
Okay. One question, not necessarily related to this behavior right now, but when she's outside and barking incessantly, what do you do? Or how can you
make sure she's on a leash and do the same thing we did in here. If she's not on a leash, then that's your mistake.
Okay, so she's basically not allowed to run loose in the yard.
She can't. Well, the same thing that I told Molly. She can't run loose if she's not calm first.
Okay.
The reward of freedom comes with her doing what I want.
Okay.
So if she doesn't calm down first, then she doesn't get the freedom. Now, if she does, then she can have the freedom. But if she makes a mistake, then I'm going to send her back to being calm before I let her have freedom again.
And that begins at the door?
It even begins when you put the leash on. I mean, any type of first interaction you have to send her outside. Putting on your coat, whatever it might be, your gloves. If you see she's starting to get wound up, then you have to send her back to calm.
Make the rain.
Okay? Got it?
Yes, I understand.
Hopefully at least now you see the difference.
I understand.
And if we take away the affection, and if we take away rewarding her at the wrong times, I'm telling you, you're going to see a huge difference just in doing that. And I think what he needs to work on, again, is your trust. He's got to trust you. So you've got to put him in those uncomfortable, like he did good. But you need to, whatever you saw, if something, let's assume, makes him nervous or makes him excited, those are the situations you got to do them. If it's easy for him, it's a waste of your time to keep doing it. Put them in the situations that you know are gonna create the reaction.
Well, I mean, yeah, so you missed the whole first session, but even though like the dogs were all socially good, but they were really hyper, he would get wound up from that. Like he's reacted in both sessions to
Yeah.
various things.
Yeah, very small.
Very,
I mean, much better. I mean,
Yeah.
for the most part, we have a calm dog.
yeah,
But because it's not 100% trust with you,
yeah.
when you get the big reaction, that's when he's gonna react.
So for right now, for him meeting new dogs, my best off until he stops reacting sometimes to start with him with them both on a leash. Like if we have a guest
controlling
come,
both of them?
if we have a guest come over,
Yeah.
then we want them both on a leash, and I need to react to both and have them.
Unless and the only time, and this goes for everyone, unless you trust both dogs,
Don't
they've
them.
got to be on a leash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you trust one, then that's fine.
Well, the other one does greet dogs normally from behind, not the
Well,
front.
I'm talking about a new dog. Yes, Clyde we trust, but a guest dog coming in that we don't know needs to be on a leash if they're meeting this dog as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you trust at least one of the dogs, they both got to be on the leash.
Yep.
Because if you don't trust both, one can react. It's going to trigger the other one.